Enjoy the best in trucker style music and comedy. Weeknights starting at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on TNCRadio.live.
Good afternoon. Welcome to TNC Radio.live. This is the Truckers Network Radio Show. And now here's your host, Shelley Johnson.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Yes, this is the Truckers Network Radio Show on TNCRadio.live, where we offer the entertainment, sports, weather, traffic, news, and information that our commercial drivers want to hear. Speaking of entertainment and sports, our drivers love racing, and there's nothing better than big rig racing. Today we have Rob Ball, the technical director with the FASS Big Series. They're a big rig racing team in the Southeastern United States with drivers and teams from across the U.S. and Canada. They've got a race coming up October 23rd, and Rob is going to be telling us all about everything they're doing. Welcome, Rob. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Shelley. Appreciate it.
I was wondering if we could start with a little bit of background on you and the FASS Big Rig Racing Series. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you race? All of that.
We're a group of guys that started racing a long time ago here on some road courses, and we finally figured out that wasn't working, and so we decided that we was going to do ovals. Kind of got together. We're part of a different series, and that didn't work out for some of us. It just didn't have the same views. So Brad Exton and from Fast Fuel and Brian Madsen, myself, got together, and we decided to start our own thing and go back to more of a regional type racing down in the South where we started before. And we were going to launch last year. Of course, that fell apart. But we mostly raced down in the South where circle track racing started. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia. We were going to do a race in Pennsylvania this year, but some stuff come up. But it's mostly down in that region where we race at. And we race in the smaller tracks, 3/8 to 5/8 of a mile, except for this coming weekend. We're going to Rockingham. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. East Coast Trucks Gone Wild. I love the title.
Well, it's going to be a big weekend down there, a 4-day event. They've got the Super Truck Series gathered up from all over, from up north to down south. There's supposed to be 70 or 80 of those pickup trucks racing. They're doing some off-road stuff, mud bogs, basically almost like a rough truck event where they're jumps and everything else. And then we're closing it out with a 15-lap race on the big track. So it should be fun.
So is it pretty challenging? You guys do this bobtail, right?
Yes.
You race? Mm-hmm. Is that pretty challenging? Because bobtail's a little unstable. How do you do that?
Nerves of steel, I would say, for the drivers. But we've modified the suspension on the trucks to some degree. For the most part, all the trucks have come off of the road, and we do. First off is our safety. I mean, when you look inside one of the trucks, you're like, wow, this looks like, a race car. Sure. It's got roll bars and fire safety suppression and everything. But on the outside, other than the front and rear bumpers, which we build for crash purposes, and the side pods, which you see on them, they're pretty much stock truck. Like I say, the suspension, we'll put the sway bars, maybe change the caster on them with some wedges. But like the rear ends, those are a lot of them airbags still.
Okay.
Front suspension, leaf spring. I mean,
what
you walk up to them. you can see a lot of the similarities to the truck you're driving down the road.
Well, what about tires? Do you have to do something special with the tires, especially when it's hot down south? Do you have to go through a bunch of different types of tires, or what goes on there?
Mostly in the past, it's kind of been one spec tire, so to speak. But we've been changing it up this year. We kind of opened it up to let everybody kind of make a pick, with the exception of not running super singles. We haven't gone that far, but we've changed it up to some different size tires. And I don't know how much racing you've been around, but we're actually putting some tire stagger into it, where one tire is a little smaller diameter than the other, which inherently tries to make it turn a certain direction. And that's what we want to do, is keep turning left and not go straight into a wall.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So what's your top speed usually?
Depends kind of on the track, how big it is, how hard it is to get through the corners. We've been in excess of 110 mile an hour coming down the straights.
Okay. That's moving when you're bobtailing, don't you think?
Yeah. And the thing is, at the end of a very short straightaway, you've got to negotiate a 180-degree turn and then get back in the throttle and go to the next one.
Yeah, Rockingham's going to really push this, isn't it? Because you're going to be able to get the speeds way up, and the turns are nasty.
Yeah. I've talked to several friends who are involved in the upper level of racing down there, the NASCAR, and I've been told, make sure everybody knows when you set sail into turn one, don't do it. Make sure you can make the turn and then bring your speed up.
Yeah.
Don't go yeehaw. Oh no.
Yeah. Turn one, even in NASCAR, and they're much more set up to turn. I mean, they have to be very careful going into that.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. Hopefully it will just be fun and exciting for I would, as the tech director and kind of on-track control at the moment, I would prefer to keep everybody out of the concrete and side.
Yeah. So have you ever raced a big rig?
I have not raced them. I've driven them, tried to figure out what's going on with them and how we can improve them. But my wife and son basically currently own and operate a 3-truck team.
Okay.
And my son drives our number 17 Peterbilt.
Oh, very cool.
Sponsored by Fuel Systems.
So is there a particular brand of semi that does better, or are they all pretty equally matched?
For the most part, they're fairly equally matched. Your setback axles versus set forward axles, let's take a Peterbilt 379 or a 378 set forward versus Freightliner Columbias or the Volvos with the set back axle. The set forwards seem to handle a little better, getting in and out of the turns. And that's really about the only thing that sets them apart is that extra spread, so to speak. It helps stabilize them a little bit more, I feel. But we've got a couple guys that they will send it off into the turn, and they will be sideways from the start of turn one till the end of turn two.
Oh, geez. So are these guys kind of like adrenaline junkies? I mean, wow, that's got to be quite the challenge.
Most of them actually are truck drivers for the most part.
Very cool.
He's a generator technician out in Oklahoma, but like Jupiter Motorsports, they are pretty much all truck drivers. very competitive when they get on track.
That's what makes it so much fun.
It is. Yeah, there's 4 people from them, and then another one is Chris Kikelhand. He drives, and he is a showman. He is so much fun to watch.
Well, it's a skill. I mean, it really is amazing. I want to be able to talk more about this because I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are like, how do you do this exactly? We're talking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Series. We've got to go to break here. This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned for more coming up. Finding the right healthcare plan and insurance agent can be a challenge. Truck driving can be a dangerous job, and drivers expose themselves to unique health risks. Health insurance is an expensive but necessary expense for truck drivers. It helps protect them from unexpected high medical costs. Although truck drivers should have a health plan, many don't. Some trucking companies offer health plans for truck drivers, but if you're an owner-operator or an independent contractor, you might have to find your own health insurance policy. The Truckers Network proudly partners with the Health Plan Partner to help our members learn about the options they have for health insurance. The Health Plan Partner is dedicated to helping members of the Truckers Network find and learn about what's available to them in the marketplace. Since 1985, the Health Plan Partner has helped their clients figure out the health insurance maze we're in. Here are 6 tips from the Health Plan Partner for finding the right health plan and agent for truck drivers. Review your options with an experienced agent that specializes in health plans and can guide you in the right direction, even if it's not a plan they offer. Determine your budget. There are options for any budget, but the adage is true. You get what you pay for, so beware. Have a list of your doctors, medications, and any health history. Some plans do require a health history. Review your current plan annually if you have one to see if there are better options and rates available. Plans can change constantly. Have the plans explained to you in detail and ask a lot of questions and role-play various situations. Quite a few times we only find out what the plan doesn't cover when we need it. Again, find an agent you feel comfortable with. You need to be able to trust them and call for guidance and questions anytime. With over 25 years of experience, Health Plan Partner wants to help truckers find the right health insurance plan.
For the latest in traffic, weather, and information, catch the Morning Grind weekdays right here on TNCRadio.live.
This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly, and we're talking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Series, which is really, really cool. So, Rob, you were kind of describing a little bit about what goes into the racing. What kind of skills do you actually need to race a big rig besides nerves of steel?
I would say the first thing is very low fear. You can't be scared.
No fear. Okay. But I would imagine that there's it's a whole lot different racing than just, standard driving.
It's a lot more to handle and to push into fast.
We're breaking up just a little bit there, Rob.
I'm breaking up.
Oh, there you are. Much better. You said low fear factor. If you wanted to pick up from there, you were kind of breaking up.
Okay. Bear with me. I'm trying to in a hole up here.
Okay, not a problem.
Step outside. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, you sound great on our end.
Okay. So, yeah, it's very challenging physically because of just how much the truck is not wanting to turn left at that kind of speed.
Sure.
And the guys have got to be able to, manipulate shifts a lot quicker than on the road. So having some skill in truck driving to start with really, really helps. because it's not like jumping out of a car and jumping into one of these. We've had a guy from the Indy Series in it. We've had a crew chief from very high level in a truck, and it's taken a few laps to get them going.
Interesting.
But yeah.
So it's not for
really
beginners. Novices need not apply, right?
Well, no, I won't say that. I would say don't expect to come in and run right up front, regardless of your racing background, because this is a whole different animal, and it bucks harder. So.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
So what do the drivers like best? Is there a particular challenge on the tracks that they really, really get into?
Figuring out a way around each other, because the trucks are so big, and you get into some of these tracks where it's really, really tight. Like the one we were on here at Caraway Speedway, the gentleman that ran the track told me right up front, he said, look, this is a one groove track, and it's usually down there at the bottom. He said, I don't know about the top. And I said, well, kind of sweep the top off, because I got a couple guys who will try and run up against the wall. And you could just see the look in his face like, oh, God, my wall. It's not going to live. Well, we actually had 2 wrecks. One of them did get into the middle of 1 and 2, and one of them coming out of 2. But we didn't hurt the wall. Just the design of the trucks, what we've got built into them, absorbs a lot of the impact. So everybody was safe, walked away. They might have been a little mad at themselves, but everybody was physically okay. So
that's the important thing. They can walk away from it unharmed. Absolutely. So are you involved in actually then doing some of the engineering on making all of these rigs stable, and you kind of consult with the drivers, or how does that work? That's where I started out. Okay. Was helping design the trucks when it was the road course, and it kind of went from there. And before, my son and I were involved with Jupiter Motorsports, so we kind of helped things along down there. My son drove for them, and it just, the modifications, a couple of good friends of mine, one being Wes Caton, he and I went to diesel college together, and we would spend hours just staring at different things and trying to figure out, okay, it's doing this, how do we make it do that? And we've come a long ways with them on handling and such. I bet. We was always able to get some power out of them, but you still got to be able to stop them and make them turn. So would you say that a big rig that's running bobtail because it doesn't really like to turn left like that is kind of like a stubborn mule you got to convince? Yes, I would. I would, yeah. The driver is inputting left and it's wanting to go right. That's a very good analogy of it. When we first started, it was very bad, but it's gotten a lot better. It was to the point where we would run 15 laps for a heat race or 25 laps, 30 laps. And when it came in, you couldn't hardly put your hands on the tire. It was all blistered up, starting to show cords, and you had to change out the tire. Ooh. Now it's getting to the point where I think we're on our 3rd weekend on the same right front tire. Wow. And a couple of the other trucks are too. So actually, our last weekend, I didn't hardly see any tires being changed. So it's getting much better. We're figuring it out. So how fast can a pit crew change a tire on a big rig? Well, it takes about 3 guys to get it off there quick, but I would say a minute. Wow, that's impressive. We have hub covers that go over top of the lug nuts to help protect other people's tires, but
So we have that in our way. And, of course, jacking them up, that's always fun, getting probably about 7,000 pounds on the front axle up in the air to get it off.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we actually did it at Hickory. And I would say it was probably, once the truck stopped, probably a minute and a half to change it out.
Okay. Now, are the tires actually different than normal tires you'd find on a semi? No? Oh.
No, they're actually the same tires. Mm-hmm. They're just cut down to between 6 and 8/32 worth of tread depth to get rid of you build a lot of heat with a lot of tread on them.
Okay.
So we shave them down to 6 to 8/32, or buff them down, as a lot of guys call it. Mm-hmm. And it also helps flatten out the tread. Right. Makes them a little more stable.
Makes sense.
When you're getting ready to go, and you kind of touched on this with the guy from Callaway, when you're getting ready to race someplace, I mean, do you get some pushback from tracks and they say, no, we're not comfortable with a big rig out here?
Some of the tracks have in the past. I know of a few. There was some footage of some that they looked pretty bad, and some of the tracks somehow were sent that footage, and they were like, "Ooh, no." And some of the tracks we will not go to just because of the safety factor. If they have low walls, if they don't have dirt behind the walls for the extra impact of the trucks.
Right.
But for the most part, it's been we've had multitude of tracks contacting us. We clear to California. It's like, well, guys, that's a long drive for somebody that has to be back hauling coal or groceries on Monday morning to come from North Carolina or Pennsylvania, clear out to Cali, and then back.
But Texas,
so that's why we're trying to keep things regional.
I got to put in my vote for Texas, though.
There you go.
Yeah.
Houston.
Just saying. Now, it's up by Dallas, but, it's a good track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of what we do is the short tracks. The bigger super speedways, Lord, my nerves could not handle that. My son will be the first one to say, let's do it.
It would be awesome. Yeah. In Bristol, is that on your list too?
It is. Some other guys, well, a lot of the guys who are in our series have actually been on Bristol.
Oh, very cool.
Just not our series yet. But that is definitely something that we want to do.
So you're growing by leaps and bounds. This is exciting. Well, I definitely want to get into more detail on where you're going to be racing, because I know there are a lot of people that are going to want to see this. This is just too much fun. We're talking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Rig Series here on the Truckers Network radio show. We have to go to break. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned for more coming up.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Inspections for truck drivers. Getting stopped for an inspection in the middle of a delivery is a situation every truck driver dreads. Inspections are time-consuming and interfere with the driver's schedule for delivering their load on time. However, they are essential for regulating safety conditions for everyone on the road. There's 6 different levels of DOT roadside inspections. Each level has a unique set of requirements and can happen at any time. It's important to be familiar with all 6 levels of DOT inspections, so if you have one, you can pass. Level 1, North American Standard Inspection. The Level 1 inspection is often referred to as a full inspection and is the most thorough. There are 37 steps to a Level 1 inspection. During this inspection, the driver's credentials and the vehicle will be examined. Because the Level 1 inspection has so many steps, it does take a significant amount of time. A good way to help speed up the process of a Level 1 inspection is by staying on top of driving requirements and proper truck maintenance. Here's some things the inspector will check during a Level 1 inspection. Medical examiner certificate, alcohol and drug use, daily logs, hours of service, HOS documentation, seatbelt use, driver and vehicle inspection reports, brake system, chopping devices, exhaust system, truck frame, fuel system, turn signals, brake lamps, tail lamps, headlamps, lamps on projecting loads, safe loading, steering mechanism, suspension, tires, van and open-top trailer bodies, wheels and rims, windshield wipers, hazardous material, HM requirements. If you're a hazard hauler, have your shipping papers ready. Level 2. Walk-around driver vehicle inspection. Level 2 inspections are a less invasive process and are also the most common. They're similar to the Level 1 inspections, except there is less involvement in the vehicle inspection part. During the Level 2 inspection, the examiner will do a walk-around driver vehicle inspection. They'll check everything that's in a Level 1, but will not physically get under the vehicle. Level 3. Driver-only inspection. The Level 3 inspections are the second most common type of inspection. Since the inspection doesn't include the vehicle, it can go relatively quickly. A driver will be expected to present a record of duty status, that's RODS, driver's license, hazmat requirements, medical card and waiver, skill performance evaluation certificate, vehicle inspection report, HMDG requirements, and HOS documentation. Level 4. Special inspections. A Level 4 inspection is a one-time inspection of a specific trend within the industry. This type of inspection happens when the Department of Transportation wants to do further research on industry issues. Level 5. Vehicle-only inspection. A Level 5 inspection is like Level 1, but the driver is not present during the inspection. During this inspection, the examiner will check everything that's in the Level 1 inspection except those relevant to the driver. Level 6 Enhanced NAS inspection for radioactive shipments. The Level 6 inspection is only relevant to drivers that haul radioactive materials. These inspections are put into place to ensure that drivers who haul radioactive material are following proper safety protocol. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
For the latest in Houston traffic, weather, news, and information, don't miss the Evening Surge on TNCRadio.live. Welcome back to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly, and we're speaking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Series. Rob, during our break, you were talking about your Bonneville salt truck and how fast it goes, and I was really impressed. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a truck called Joint Venture, and it's based out of Washington State. It's a little over 30 feet long, I believe. Has a 32-liter Detroit MTU engine in it, and it currently holds the record at 228.804 mile an hour, I believe.
Ooh. How do you do that in a big rig?
You put a jet pilot in the driver's seat.
Okay. And somebody with even bigger nerves of steel?
Yeah, he's a former F-16 fighter pilot.
And,
yeah.
Okay, so something like that would be kind of boring then. To him, maybe, huh?
Oh, yeah. He loves the adrenaline. He's always coming back in faster. It's like, we're trying. We're not going to get as fast as that F-16.
But he wants you to, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if it would get there, he would drive it. I will guarantee it.
So where do people see the Bonneville salt truck doing this? Is this actually something you feature in some of the races or like a separate demonstration?
No. It's usually out there being worked on year-round until it's time for the Bonneville Speed Weeks in August is when we normally go.
Okay. Very cool.
For racers, that's kind of hallowed ground out there on Bonneville. It is absolutely gorgeous, but it's like a different world.
Sure.
You can read more about it, Shelley, at jointventureraceTruck.com. JointventureraceTruck.com. And it talks in here, Rob, about it being 750 horsepower. Dang.
How much?
Yeah.
750 horsepower.
It's probably the last time we dynoed it, we were coming up close to about 2,800.
Dang.
And that was where they stopped me. They were like, "Oh, no. And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "The dyno's vibrating. The room's vibrating." And we were about 60% throttle. So it's probably closer to almost 4,000 horsepower.
Dang. Oh, yeah,
Wow.
I didn't read this right anyway. It says creating 750 horsepower more than the V8 in your car. And okay, yeah. Okay. No.
That's pretty impressive. Definitely not road legal.
Not by any means.
That's pretty cool. We have Tom Kirk with us, who's a driver, and he said he had a question for you, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. When you guys were talking about the tires, one of the things that interested me as an over-the-road driver, are you using all the same brands of tires? And have the drivers kind of said, "Hey, this one seems to be a little bit better than this brand," or does everyone have to use the same brand like NASCAR, or how does that work?
In the previous years and other series, it was strictly one tire. I opened it up this year to include other brands and other sizes. And right now, the jury is still out. I mean, we have personally put Michelin, Continental, Bridgestone, Firestone on the trucks, and we haven't really found anything that sets one apart from the other yet, because we're only about 4 races in. So the jury's still out on that. I will let everybody know when we make a decision on that one, though.
Well, because one of the things that I just found it incredible is that you're running a right front steer tire, because every driver knows if you lose a steer, you're going for the ride of your life, and that you've ran the same basic tire for 3 weeks just absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, like I said, it was to where we were changing them every 15 laps, 30 laps, and they would just be smoking hot. And now it's to the point there's some trucks coming in and they're 2 weeks old, and you put your hand on the tire and it's warm, but it's not hot. And you say, well, we might want to start to look at changing this. And the driver looks at you like, no, it's perfect. Leave it. You're like, okay. I made that mistake with my son one time, changing out a tire that he said was good. We had the truck set up good enough, and it cost him some positions in the race. So, yeah, I was the bad guy for a while.
I bet.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, do your trucks use drum brakes or disc brakes?
A lot of them use drum. Well, all of them use drum on the rears, but some of them now, including the 17 truck, the FASS Fuel Systems truck, it has disc brakes. I know the 01 truck has disc brakes and a couple others. It definitely helps, but we actually use water spraying on the drums and the discs to keep them cool, because we have experienced that in a road course where a drum came apart, and that wasn't pretty. Yeah.
No. Not for the truck or the one immediately behind them.
Yeah, I think it was pucker factor for everybody involved.
I bet.
Oh, I believe that. But when you see a steel drum flying and you're towards your hood and you're doing 100 miles an hour, yeah, no thank you. I'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of metal coming really fast.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the most challenging track you've been on so far?
That we have been on? Greenville Pickens is kind of more not as banked as some of them. So your setup's a little different there. Like I had said, the Caraway Speedway we were on last weekend is a one-groove track, so it was really difficult for the guys to run side by side through the turns. Even though some of them wanted to make it 3 wide, how they make it work, but where's there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
But it's hard to say what the most challenging track is, because there's so much built into these that's different but the same. You know what I mean? But yeah, Greenville being the flatter, you can build a lot of speed, but you still got to go through the turns. So it's a fun track, though. Hickory, it's very high banked. It's got some bumps in it where we're going on October 23rd. But the guys, they have a certain relationship with that track, and they love putting on a
relationship?
At some point, yeah, I think it is. They hate a couple of the bumps, but they love driving. They love the crowds down there. Everybody comes out, and it's just a really great time down there.
So how do you compensate for those bumps when you're riding bobtail? I mean, I would think it would really kind of throw you off a little bit.
It can, if you haven't raced before on it. Yeah, it's one of those, you grab the steering wheel really tight with your hands and the seat with other body parts when you hit it, and the truck pitches sideways coming out of the turns. But after a while, some of the guys are like, okay, I'm going to set up for it, and they will come off of that bump, set the truck completely sideways. And if they're in clean air and they're trying to put on a show for somebody, they will try and stick that thing sideways down the entire straight.
Good grief.
And a couple of them have done it. It's fun to watch.
Oh, it really would be. Wow. So how do they practice to do this sort of thing when I mean, there really isn't a place that you can do that with a big rig on the roads?
No, there's not. I mean, you have to be on track to get the feel of what's going on. You can drive them around in parking lots or whatever and try and get the feel for some of it, but until you get on that banked surface, and pitch into those turns, you really don't know what to expect until that point.
And this is really cool because everybody you said they're working drivers, so I'm seriously impressed. Yeah, that's really cool. We're going to be going to break here, Rob, and I want to get into more detail on where we can see you racing and maybe some detail on some of the drivers and that sort of thing. We're talking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Rig Series here on the Truckers Network radio show. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned for more coming up. Every day, the roads are full of semis. Truck drivers are responsible for nearly 80% of America's freight. Being a truck driver is not an easy job, and it isn't for everyone. Trucking can be hard on a person, both physically and mentally. Suffering from mental health issues can put truck drivers in a dangerous situation. To safely operate a heavy-duty vehicle, drivers need to be physically and mentally healthy. Mental health issues are common in truck drivers. Here are the 4 common mental health issues truck drivers face. Truck driving is a demanding job. It can be very stressful at times. A stressful work environment leads to anxiety and depression. In addition to stressful work environments, truck drivers spend a lot of time alone in their truck. Constantly being alone can affect one's mental health. Although many truck drivers suffer from mental health issues, some are afraid to get help because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration requires drivers to be in good health before receiving or renewing a commercial driver's license. The trucking industry is predominantly male. A study by RAHM states that men are less likely to get treatment for their mental health than women. It's important for drivers to take care of their mental health as much as their physical health. Common mental health issues can include depression. Depression is an illness that affects you mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's very common in the trucking industry. Being alone and away from friends and family contributes to depression. It's important to know the difference between feeling down and having depression. If you feel you're experiencing depression, seek out help. Depression is serious and can affect your ability to operate your truck. Anxiety. Because of how stressful trucking can be, anxiety is very common for drivers. It's especially true for new drivers. Even experienced drivers have reported having anxiety and panic attacks while on the road. It's important to know the difference between new driver anxiety and generalized anxiety. If you're experiencing anxiety often while working, take the necessary steps to get help. Chronic sleep disturbances. A good night's rest is crucial to truck drivers. Not having enough sleep can make it dangerous to operate a heavy-duty vehicle. Because of a truck driver's living and work situation, good sleep can be difficult. An NCBI study reports that 20 to 28.6% of truck drivers have unspecified sleep disorders, and 27.5% of truck drivers are diagnosed with insomnia. Sleep is extremely important for your mental and physical health. If you're experiencing problems sleeping while trucking, consider seeking professional help. Loneliness. Truck drivers spend many days and weeks isolated in their truck. According to Business Insider, nearly a third of drivers say being alone is a significant issue affecting their mental health. If you're experiencing loneliness on the road, check out the blog from the Truckers Network, Mental Health Tips for Truckers. Want to advertise on TNCRadio.live? Take advantage of great discounts for 2021. Check out the sponsors page at TNCRadio.live or send an email to info@TNCRadio.live. Welcome back to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly, and we have Tom Kirk with us, too. We're speaking with Rob Ball with the FASS Big Rig Series. You're sponsored by FASS Fuel, Rob, and I wanted to give you time to talk about their great products because they make this Big Rig Racing Series possible.
Yeah. FASS Fuel Systems is it's a fuel-air separation system, which is where FASS came from. It's an acronym, so to speak. But anytime a lot of truckers will say, man, my truck gets lazy in the afternoon, or, when I get down to a quarter of a tank. And it's not a mindset thing or imagining things. It's actually air in the tank. And it throws off the timing in the engine, power. You're trying to burn air instead of fuel. Oh, and the FASS system separates the fuel from the air and returns the aerated fuel back to the tank and sends nothing but pure diesel fuel to the engine. And it also separates water from it, and there's some pretty impressive results. I think it's like 99.94 or 96% of the water out of the system. So it's really efficient, and we couldn't build the power we're building without it. It's just a phenomenal setup. Our hats off to them, because we actually had one truck who had an issue with some wiring. Some wiring came loose, lost the FASS system due to lack of electricity, and it toasted an injector almost immediately, and he was leading the race. So, he come in second place on 5 cylinders, but he wasn't real happy.
Still impressive. No, you wouldn't be when you're right there and going to win it. So, wow.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Kirk, you said you had a question for Rob?
Is like the FASS system something that's required for the drivers to use? Do some of them not run the system? How does that work?
No, Brad Exton from FASS Fuel at the start of it said he didn't want to keep anybody out. He said, I love competition. So any of the, the drivers that wanted to run a competitor system could run it. Most of them pretty much prefer the FASS system, and others had the the other system and have kind of kept it, not changed over yet, but they're talking about it. So
that speaks volumes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And I know when I was at GBATS, I got to see a bit of a demonstration that they had set up there of the FASS system. And to be an ordinary driver and see how it works, you can try to explain it, but until you see it or see the demo, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And once you see it, you're like, now I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, the demos on, FassRide.com are just really impressive when you see a side-by-side comparison on the water separation and things like that. And it's like, hands down, why would you run anything else?
Sounds like a great product.
It is. It is. I've used them since 2010 on everything from pulling tractors to Bonneville Salt Flats to Pikes Peak truck. And the Pikes Peak truck was probably the most impressive. We'd always stumble and spit up there at Devil's Playground, and we added the FASS systems to it, and it took off, and it was flawless. There was hardly any white smoke like we normally had in the mornings, and it took off spinning the tires. The driver come back and went, "Wow, what'd you guys do to that computer?" Cool. We just kind of looked at each other and grinned. Said, "Not a thing."
So we have about 6.5 minutes. I wanted you to be able to maybe feature some of your drivers and let people know where they can check you out, where you're going to be racing, and where they can get tickets and all that.
Yeah. So our drivers, I guess I would start with a good friend of ours, Alan Bowles from Jupiter Enterprises down in Asheville, North Carolina. He owns Jupiter Motorsports with his family, and he also has some drivers with him. Jordan Cantrell drives the number 9 truck. Alan drives the number 3. This is his first year in, and he's doing phenomenal. Scott Treadway, he drives the number 4, Alice's Revenge. Really super nice guy. He drives big truck also. All 3 of them do. And another one was Marshall. God, can't remember his last name. Marshall Davis. He drives the number 41 for Jupiter Motorsports, and he also drives big truck. Then we have the 01 truck driven by Chris Kikelhand, the showman. He's one of the ones that loves to put the truck sideways. He runs for Sundance Trans, and just super nice guy. And his, I guess you would say almost son-in-law, and Daniel is actually a mechanic for down at Jupiter Enterprises. And let's see, you got Luke Whitmire. He's driving the baby blue 51 Peterbilt, and he and his family have a welding service and excavating. They also have a Mack and a Volvo. He's had various drivers in them. Nikki Black, who's a truck driver, got his first experience last weekend, and he was quite surprised with it. My wife and I and my son, we have 3 trucks for All Balls Performance. We have the number 17 fast fuel truck that my son Justin drives. He's a generator technician for United Engines out in Oklahoma City. He comes clear down into Texas to work on generators and such.
Wow. And
our other driver is Dakota Bowman. He works for a fuel systems company called Deechworks. And this is his first year also. And we've had a few others in and out, but those are the ones that are in it for the long haul at the moment.
You got a lot of drivers. This is cool. So what
it's fun.
What are the races? You talked about the one you're doing this upcoming weekend, and of course, you've got one, I think, October 23rd. If you wanted to tell us a little bit about that and where people can find more information about your series.
Okay. So our social media is probably the best place to find it. It's FASS Big Series on Instagram and also on Facebook. A couple of the guys have been posting up on TikTok. There's a hashtag FASS Big Series that my son and Chris started. My son also has his own TikTok, which is boost.17. They've put together a lot of funny stuff there. Mm-hmm. And the main webpage, www.fassbigseries.com, which also has links over to the Fast Fuel Systems website if you need to get to them, or you can go to fastride.com for them. Alligator Performance and Top Tier Suspensions, which is a lot of your off-road and lifted truck stuff. Those are two of our other sponsors. And this next race is actually being partially sponsored by Full Tilt Performance. They do a lot of the manifolds, replacement manifolds for on-highway trucks. And I'll tell you, I highly recommend them. We've been running them for a long time and had zero issues. So,
now,
Hickory Race.
Oh, I'm sorry. October 23rd.
It is Hickory. I'm sorry. It is Hickory, North Carolina on October 23rd. Gates will open, I believe the grandstand's at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and racing probably start between 6:30 and 7. Hickory, North Carolina is off of Interstate 40, just kind of northwest of Charlotte. Okay. And you can find on Eventbrite, you can find the tickets, you can find them off of our Facebook page or off of the website, or show up at the gate.
Very cool. Well, I love racing, as you can tell, and big rig racing, there's nothing better. I really appreciate you being on the show, Rob. We've been talking with Rob.
Appreciate y'all having it.
Yes, absolutely. You've been super informative. This has been super entertaining. We've been talking with Rob Ball with FASS Big Rig Series. Definitely check out that information because these are some great races and you're going to have nothing but fun, which is what we need right here in 2021. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on tncradio.live. Stay tuned for more coming up. Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live and the Truckers Network radio show. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live, on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live. Radio.live. 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 Radio.live.